Hey everyone, it's Minty, and after 2 years of doing GCSE art, I can finally show you my finished sketchbook. The theme that we were given was natural forms, which you could kind of interpret any way you wanted to, so I made a mind map with all my different ideas and drawings to figure out which direction I wanted to go in. If you know me and watch my videos, you won't be surprised to find out that I went with natural forms in terms of humans because I love drawing faces, and this was a collage of pictures from Pinterest that kind of matched my theme. Even though I didn't draw the actual pictures myself, it's still one of my favorite pages because of how well it all goes together. The next page is also a collage of photos, but I took these myself. The white paper is just to cover up my friends' faces who might not want to be in the video, so just ignore that. This is actually one of my least favorite pages. It's a couple of challenges that our teacher set us to draw in different ways, but I didn't really like any of it because I rushed it quite a bit. The next page is called Recording Drawings, which basically just means I'm drawing from reference, and this is one of my favorite pages. I love the style that I sketched in, and all these references were from Pinterest. Following on from this, we have a very random page which I decided to do on my own accord. I just used a bunch of eyes that I've drawn in the past, a random painting, stuck them all together with a bit of rubbish, and then here we have a sketch which is also from Pinterest, I'm pretty sure, and I made sure to write a little bit about it as well, because if you don't write about your art, you're not gonna get a high grade. At the start of the year, I was very motivated and I was having so much fun with art that both of these pages were my own decision to do, and they weren't set as a task from the teacher. I highly recommend doing as many pages as you can, even if it's just for fun and your teacher hasn't told you to do it, because the more art you have, the higher chance there is that you're going to get a good grade. This page explores a variety of artists that I was interested in. Our teachers gave us a couple to look through on a list, but I also had a look on YouTube for some, but I didn't end up choosing all of them. I only had 3 who really inspired me throughout the year. I also wrote a little bit about each one, and I remember really loving the background on this one. I love how the black squares contrast to the scribbles in the background. I went with a similar layout for this one. This is a process page of how I made my screen print, which I'll show you in a second. It's actually further on throughout the book. And here it is. I drew the designs digitally, and then my teacher helped sort out the screen print, and I also decided to put some galaxy themed paint over the top just to add a little bit of spice. Screen printing was something that my teacher organized for the whole class. Otherwise, I don't think I would have had this much texture in my book. Next, we have some more art that I just did at home on my own. This one turned out kind of weird because of the plastic I put over the top. It made a very strange texture, but maybe that got me marks, I don't know. And then here we have a more realistic oil pastel. I think it definitely helped having 2 drawings made with the same art supply being next to each other, but still being completely different in style. It definitely adds a lot of contrast to the book. I didn't put too much effort into the backgrounds because 1, I didn't want to take away from the actual drawings, and 2, I just couldn't be bothered, so I drew some simple lines with some biros. This double spread took me quite a while. I put a lot of work into it, but it paid off because it ended up being the favorite of a lot of people. This is about an artist called Ana Santos, and then on the right we have an artist copy, which is something that we had to include. Annoyingly, my page of research ended up getting really dirty because the pencil from the drawing transferred to the other side, and we also have a couple of paint splotches. At the end of the day, I still really love this page, and I think I managed to emulate her style pretty well, and there's not many blank spaces either, and any blank space that I did have, I managed to cover up with some lines. This page is a continuation on from information about that artist, and in the top right we have an artist interpretation, which is just me drawing in her style again. I remember I was really bored on a random weekend, so I decided to fill in another page. I actually drew these in my normal at-home sketchbook, and then I cut them out and stuck them in here because I thought they would be a good addition. They are a little bit cartoony, I would say they're semi-realistic, and I used my Ohuhu markers, which if you watch my channel you'll know that that's my main medium. I wrote a lot on this page because I had to fill in the blank space somehow, and I just didn't want to draw anything else. If any of you need any tips on how to annotate your art, just let me know. Here we have another artist called Vince Lowe. They do pen and pencil sketches, but in this really scribbly style. Mine is okay, I don't mind it. I remember really liking it at the time, but now that I look back, I think that I should have used a thinner pen, if that's even possible, or drawn it on a larger scale just so that the scribbles were less noticeable. Since his art is all black and white, I didn't want to add much colour into the background, but I did find this gold pen, and I decided to draw a little frame around my artist copy, and it definitely helped fill in the blank space and make things stand out. This next spread I don't really like. It includes my interpretation, which is not so great drawing. Moving on from that, we have a huge Ohuhu drawing, which is something that I've never really done before in terms of realism. I love Ohuhus, but I always use them for cartoon art. So this one is inspired by a picture that I found on Pinterest, and I love the shadows and the shading, although I remember a lot of my pens ran out after I did this because of how big it is compared to my usual art. I also finished it off with some brown biro for lining and also some white highlight. This is me trying to explore the sketchy style, and after I did it in black, I decided to go in with red and blue to have this glitch effect, and it's definitely very messy, but I can see the vision behind it, and hopefully the examiner did as well. The red and blue definitely uplifted the drawing in my opinion. Next, we have this page. I really don't like the one on the left. I did this during a cover lesson where the only supply that I had was a pen and a highlighter. Pretty messy, and I didn't have references, but this page I love because of these graphite eyes that I drew. I took a lot of time to do these, and we also have some old paintings that I stuck in, which I didn't mention. I pretended that I had just made them, but they were pretty old. This page also has a lot of writing about each different picture. This double spread is one of my favorites. We have two realistic drawings. One is with pencil, as you can see on the left, and I included both of the pictures that I used to reference, and this one is one of my favorites. This was posted on my channel a while ago when I actually made it, so you can see the process of that if you're interested. Again, I love both of these drawings so much, but because of the whole pencil transferring problem, I kept a plastic sheet in between these two. Obviously, I took that out for the video, but yeah, if you have two amazing paintings or drawings next to each other, I would suggest putting something in between to make sure that nothing transfers onto the other one. By the way, the colored one was made with Prismacolors, and I used purple paint just to cover up the background because I didn't want to draw the hair, so there we go. Honestly, I really don't like the following pages. These are plans for my developmental pieces, which are basically just larger things that I did outside of the sketchbook. As I came towards the end of this project, I actually made this plan after I made the finished product. I didn't actually plan them, I just went in and did them and then pretended to plan them, which is fine. It just saved me time, honestly. But yeah, I don't like the layout, but I do like the finished result of this one. This was my first one. I used Prismacolor pencils for the realistic part, and then the blue part, which is more abstract, is made with paint and crayons and a whole bunch of different mediums. For the black paint in the corner, I used acrylic paint and I laid it up to add a bit of texture because this entire painting was quite flat. There we go, that was my first developmental, and then we have the plan for the second one, and as you can see, I included a picture in the corner of the final piece. This one was a little bit bigger. My teacher told me that I should probably start sizing up, so I did, and I also added some dimension by doing 2 layers. I stuck with the realistic and abstract vibe, but I did this ripped texture by cutting out pieces, and then if you look at it straight on, it does all work together very well, but from the camera angles you can't really tell. I ended up really loving this one, so all the hard work of trying to fit everything together was definitely worth it. My next developmental was one that I didn't really like too much. I completely forgot I even made this until I had a look through my art folder, but yeah, it's kind of creepy in my opinion. I was definitely going for a more 3D vibe, and I also wanted to get some more meaning across with my art because I thought that would help me get more marks. This is another page of artist research. The artist copy on the left is one of my favorites, but I actually made it before I started my proper GCSE course because my teachers told me I could get a head start, so it's not as good as what I think I could do now, but at the end of the day I really love this page and the layout, and I think I managed to include quite a bit of information. I would say that this artist was one of my main inspirations for what you're going to see next. I really love how colourful it is and all the little details and the way they mix abstract with realistic. This is the plan for my final piece, which is developmental number 4. It's definitely a much bigger piece, as you will see in a second, and this ended off the natural forms project. I actually have another project, but I'll talk about that at the end. So here is the plan. I included a couple of cutouts from the actual painting. These were just bits I didn't use. The analysis was definitely very rushed, but I do like the real final piece. As you can see, it does not fit in the camera frame, which is pretty annoying, but I think you can imagine how it would all look together. I went with a day and night theme, so we've got these 2 girls which are actually meant to be the same person, but I don't know if they look too similar. I have 2 layers. The bottom layer is realistic pencil, and then the top layer is made with watercolors and a lot of white highlights using Posca pens. That finishes off this half of my GCSE art, and that means I didn't have to do anything else in the sketchbook, so there's a couple of blank pages. Let me know if you want to see the other half of all my art, which is stuff that's not included in the sketchbook. I'll give you a sneak peek now, but yeah, I can also do a video on tips if you want, but let me know in the comment. Bye!